Science. Welcome to our crash course on COMS theory.
Yes, and we were just reveling in how amazing it feels to answer the question of how to reduce cross-cultural communication.
And lucky for us, we found 3 theories to help us do so.
First, we've got communication accommodation theory, spiral science theory, and muted group theory to help us answer how to reduce cross-cultural miscommunication.
So, if you would like to understand how to reduce cross-cultural miscommunication, stay tuned. Ruby Hampton here. I'm here to explain the spiral of silence theory. The theory suggests that those who feel they hold a minority opinion or viewpoint on a popular topic will not voice their true opinions in fear of isolation from the group. People who feel their opinions are in the majority will feel more inclined to share. The idea is that the people fear social isolation more than they want to share their opinions on the status quo. And in doing, this leads to a spiral of miscommunication.
Coming to you live is Tatiana Schwirblat to speak to you about the muted group theory. Muted group theory describes the phenomenon when people of non-dominant groups or subordinate groups do not have the ability to express their thoughts and feelings due to limitations of their native tongue. Often this occurs because the language was created by a member of a dominant group. This theory involves multiple communication contexts including interpersonal, organizational, and intergroup communication.
Alright, hello! Hannah Martell here, going to explain communication accommodation theory. So, the communication accommodation theory is based on the idea that speakers modify their speech, vocal patterns, and gestures when they interact in order to accommodate others. It focuses on speech and behavioral similarities and dissimilarities, how we perceive them, and how we react to the use of accommodation. So the communication accommodation theory describes the many reasons why individuals emphasize or minimize the social differences between themselves and others through verbal and non-verbal communication. It explains the underlying motivations and consequences of what happens when 2 communicators shift their communication style and why people try to adjust in one way or another to the speaking styles of others. It predicts that people accommodate through one of 2 means, convergence or divergence. The first one means that people who are interacting with each other either rely on the perceptions of others to adapt their speech and behaviors to match someone else, or for divergence, they will have no desire to accommodate to one another and make sure they try not to do so. So the theory basically comes down to trying to control the accommodation set forth by people through interaction with others, and also how to reduce over-accommodating to the speech and behavior of others.
So, now that you've sort of understood the specific definitions of each theory, we're going to go through the similarities and differences of each theory so we can understand how they fit and don't fit together. Our different communication theories seek to explore various patterns in human communication, which all helps us to figure out how we can reduce cross-cultural communication.
So, after seeing the definitions of these theories, it is easy to see the parallels. We can describe these links through a clever example. So, picture this. It's an American woman at a staff meeting with the majority of the workplace being men. And she wants to bring up the clear injustice between men and women's salaries. But due to the fact that her opinion is a minority, she may feel disinclined to speak up at all, especially surrounded by members of the dominant group.
I don't blame her.
I know, right?
I felt that.
And this perfectly describes the spiral of silence theory. And in fact, if the same woman does feel strongly enough to bring up such a topic, she may find herself struggling to find the appropriate words to express her viewpoints, since her language is geared towards the success of men, not the success of women, which this describes the muted group theory.
Absolutely.
And then, assuming that she does conquer each of these obstacles in her speech, would be fascinating. Mm-hmm. She will most likely modify her vernacular, gestures, and vocal patterns to better satisfy her male-dominated audience, which lastly exemplifies a communication accommodation theory.
It is ridiculous how we're pushed to do that.
I know, right? It's really fascinating how
ridiculous.
communication works in that way.
It does. Alright. Well,
Alright.
I'm up. Hello!
Oh, yeah.
So, although there are many similarities between these theories, there are also very different. The first difference is that they all have distinctive research approaches. The spiral of silence theory requires an interpretive approach because it requires a case-by-case basis and in the same conditions.
Oh, yes.
People do not necessarily behave in the same way as others.
Very
Yet
true.
for muted group
True.
Great. Yet for muted group theory, a critical approach is required because it specifically examines the power and oppression caused by dominant groups. With that said, communication accommodation theory needs an empirical approach to research because there are very specific predictions about behaviour people perform in certain situations, and researchers rely heavily on observations and surveys to examine this.
Oh, true, because you never know what you're going to expect in a situation. You just gotta go with the flow almost.
Exactly, but occasionally there are predictable behaviours and that, it varies between situations and, of course, theories.
Totally makes sense.
Another difference is the way that the communication style is executed in each situation. For spiral of silence, people who have a minority opinion fear social isolation, so they avoid it by diverging themselves to conform to the majority. In contrast, for communication accommodation theory, people converge their communication to be more like the other person with whom they're communicating, and diverge to purposely be less like the other, accentuating difference. As far as muted group theory, the communication style is more internal because it is a member of a non-dominant group or a subordinate group cannot express their thoughts and feelings in a way they desire. It may result in internal blame.
God. Oh, my coffee, sorry.
There we go. I like it. And on to the next section. So now that we learned about the similarities and differences between the three theories to describe cross-cultural miscommunication, in order to get a better understanding of these theories in conjunction with worldly application, further research was needed to explore certain relevant concepts within the theories. We want to talk about outgroups, and the study that we found was done by Solitz, Rybarski, Hodigan, and Ty Williams in 2010. And according to them, results indicated that topic avoidance was associated with intergroup anxiety and negatively associated with relational satisfaction. Very interesting there.
That is
Dominant groups, on the other hand, simply refer to the group that holds the power in a given culture. With the studies that we found, the key findings were by Chua in 2013, and they show that male Singaporeans have more access to social ties than females.
Interesting.
It also found that Chinese Singaporeans had greater social ties than all other ethnicities that participated in the study. It
fascinating.
concluded that there needs to be further research into the privileges and ascriptive social groups.
Oh, very interesting. Fascinating.
Okay, so the next topic we have is media. The media helps to dictate what types of different subjects are going to be of interest in society. It has the power to display an entire message to a given group. According to a study done by Shaker and Christakis in 2017, so this is groundbreaking research, it's brand new. Overall, the use of Facebook was negatively associated with well-being.
Can you guys
That's super interesting.
Yeah, do you feel the same?
Yes, I absolutely understand how social media has an impact, and the media has an impact on our personal well-being.
Definitely,
And it is-
especially after reading the study. It's very interesting.
And your social
Fascinating.
identity as well. You
Exactly,
know?
it all ties together. It really does.
Fascinating.
And more here.
And here we are again. So now it is time to answer the question: how do we reduce cross-cultural miscommunication? We've given you the definitions, we've given you the similarities and the differences, we've given you relevant research on those key terms of these, important theories, and now we get to answer the question.
Yes, we do.
Exactly. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
So, the spiral of silence. It's been a long day.
It is!
It is based on how certain people feel less inclined to share their opinion when they hold a minority position in a group. Therefore, when it comes to communication between groups, a major factor that leads to misunderstanding is the lack of true opinions. This theory helps to describe how, Within a culture or group, most popular expressed or shared opinion is not always the most representative of the group as a whole.
Okay.
Right? You know, it
Gotcha.
sort of helps to explain a lot of things that's been going on.
It does.
This then leads to a communication disconnect, with a certain group labeled as having one opinion, but really has multiple others within that group that just aren't being expressed. This sort of helps to explain the many reasons why there's often a gap in understanding the communication between separate groups or cultures.
Oh.
So now we can kind of understand why there is miscommunication. Yes, exactly.
Righto. On the other hand, when looking at the muted group theory, we explore how members of non-dominant groups tend to speak up less because their language does not serve them as well as it does the group in which they are is considered to be dominant. This theory can be seen as a helpful way to describe cross-cultural miscommunication on a large scale, because it explains why people have difficulty understanding each other when they come from different cultural...
Totally makes sense.
I'm sure there's some people out there who can't understand us because we have such thick British accents.
Oh, maybe we should think about that.
I don't know. It's interesting. That's just another way to explain.
That's so true. Okay, well, yeah, it's interesting you say that. The inability to speak to a person who is part of a dominant group because you are one of a minority and of a different tongue reduces that person's desire to speak up.
With the spiral of silence theory relating that one as well as the muted group theory back to the social problem we are applying them to, basically how to reduce cross-cultural misunderstandings, we found a solution. And that is...
Communicate!
Communicate! Yes! Ready, 1, 2, 3. Communication accommodation theory!
Oh! Woo! Yes! Yahtzee!
This is why you paid attention the whole time, just for this answer.
Yes, exactly.
So, this theory has to do with the way people modify their speech, vocal patterns and gestures when they interact with others in order to accommodate them. By applying this theory to our social problem, we can hope to reduce cross-cultural misunderstandings by converging our behaviour to accommodate to the person who is from a different cultural group or dominant group with whom we are interacting. And the communication accommodation theory describes the many reasons why individuals emphasize or minimize the social differences between themselves and others through verbal and non-verbal communication. So, by making a point to minimize these social differences, people can reduce misunderstandings.
So you're telling me that we want to accommodate how we speak to who we're speaking to.
Exactly.
Oh, so we should talk in like American accents while we do this video?
Maybe we should have thought of that, but...
Interesting.
Okay.
I don't know. That's really
Your
interesting.
American accents are like really good.
So
I know.
yours.
I've actually been working on mine for a long time.
Okay, well...
Yeah.
why don't
Okay,
we
well,
do
there
that?
you have it, guys.
There it is!
There it is.
Your answer.
That is how we reduce cross-cultural communication.
Boom.
Thank
And
you for
also,
watching.
really stylish outfits.
Yeah, also if you want to, have a stylish outfit, you've learned how to do that too. So thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Follow for more information.
Yeah. Press down here to subscribe. Link below. And we release videos every Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Oh no, it's Sunday. We release videos every Sunday, and we really appreciate all of our fans who have been out there for just like so long.
You guys mean so much.
And like obviously you guys know like we're American and it was a joke. Got him, coach.
Stay tuned for your next real world problem.
Yes, your next Crash Course COMS theory.
Woo! Bye.
Bye.